there are circumstances that you have to address if you're going to give a complete and nuanced take, right? And tying into that is this Thibs narrative on minutes and the Thibs narrative of running into the ground. Go off, Mensa. Let me know what you think about that. I got thoughts, but I want you. I'm giving you the runway. I'm calling the ISO for you right now. I'm clearing out the. You got the weak side empty right now. You got the empty side right now.
So really quickly, minutes played per game. The New York Knicks had 2 players in the top 50 all season. 2 players in the top 50, right? I am so sorry that Tom Thibodeau is the reason that Joel Embiid had a hissy fit and decided to dive on Mitchell Robinson's ankle, who was playing 20 minutes a game when it happened, by the way. Was not playing a lot of minutes. I'm so sorry that Bojan Bogdanovic gets injured by a Philadelphia 76er. I think it was Nick Batum who did it to Batum injured by accident.
Freak play.
A guy who couldn't play like 9 minutes for the Knicks at one point was not getting into the game. So sorry. That was Tom Thibodeau's fault. I am so sorry that Tom Thibodeau is the reason that Jaime Jaquez Jr. decided to take a dirty charge in a game that his team had already lost and injured Julius Randle all the way back on January 27th. Listen, the only muscle injury that we saw happen to the New York Knicks was OG Anunoby, who we knew, who we knew had issues with his health in terms of staying healthy. Everybody else, even Josh Hart with a core muscle injury, everybody else either got hurt in a freak accident or got hurt because everybody else on the team was hurt and nobody else was available. If you wanted to see Jacob Toppin play real minutes in an NBA basketball game, an NBA playoff basketball game, then you are an idiot. I'm sorry. There's no other way for me to put it. The New York Knicks were hurt in a way that was unfortunate. They were unfortunately injured. It's not Tom Thibodeau's fault that these guys were hurt. Early in the season, around January, Isaiah Hartenstein had Achilles tendinopathy. If you Google that, you will see that that is an overuse injury. Isaiah Hartenstein was playing 38, 39. He was averaging 38 minutes basically for the month of January. And from that moment on, Isaiah Hartenstein was load managed the same way OG Anunoby and everybody else on the team was. So there's this narrative that Tom Thibodeau runs his players into the ground that, one, his players don't even agree with because they know they want to be out there, they want to play, and they understand the necessity of it all. And 2, is just flatly like you have to – the only way you can make that take is if you look, you see coach of the basketball team and you see injured players. If you're actually watching what is happening, there's no way you can have that opinion. But a lot of people, they have grudges against Tom Thibodeau because of something, Emmanuel Quickly, 2022, something. And it's like the guy's allowed to change. He's allowed to grow. He's allowed to mature. And hey, it may have happened very late in his career, maybe even. And then another thing that I don't like is people are saying that Jalen Brunson is going to be another Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, as an athlete, was a 100 percentile athlete to the point where his body could not handle the way that he played the game of basketball. If you go back and watch any 2011 Derrick Rose highlight film, just watch the way he lands. Derrick Rose was a very poor lander, which is why his knees ended up taking up so much damage, which cost him 4 years of his career. And by the time he finally got healthy, he wasn't the same player. It's a tragic story and everything, but that is not a Tom Thibodeau thing. I understand Luol Deng and the whole team that happened in Chicago, but that's not this Knicks team. We are holding things that Tom Thibodeau did in his past against him, which is very on brand for society today, but it's also not based in facts. And we have to face the facts that this Knicks team, they were injured, not because of Tom Thibodeau, but because of unfortunate events and dirty basketball players. So to give Tom Thibodeau a bunch of nonsense and be angry at him for Julius Randle getting injured by Jaime Jaquez, Mitchell Robinson getting injured by Joel Embiid, Bojan Bogdanovic getting injured by Nick Batum. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you other than please watch ball and do better.
The Knicks lost 3 rotation players in this playoff. Actually, 4, if you want to count Brunson.
Yeah.
In that last game. They lost Brunson, they lost OG, they lost Mitch, and they lost Bogey. I would love to see any other team in this playoff lose 4 core pieces in the course of a playoff series and still be able to put up the fight that these Knicks put up. I saw Doug McDermott get into a game for the Pacers this series, and I screamed at my TV. I thought he was still in China.
Yeah.
And then I realized I profiled him with Jimmer Fredette. I forgot Doug McBuckets was in the league. This would be the type of caliber of player that would have been playing had y'all minutes narrative had play out, right? If you look at playoff minutes, let's talk about what's going on outside of the league. Look at SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's playoff minutes
Averaging
in the Dallas
40.
season. Averaging 40, over 40 in the last few games. Luka Doncic said, and I quote, "Everything hurts." Ask J-Kid how many minutes he was playing alongside Kyrie, right? With those injuries. The Cleveland Cavaliers were missing 3 rotation players due to injury in an elimination game. And JB Bickerstaff skated free of any type of slander other than just, are you a good coach? Criticism. Donovan Mitchell, calf. I think Karis LeVert was out with the injury. And then Jared Allen with his rib, which you heard the reports that some of his teammates allegedly was like, you can't take that shot. You can't take what you need to get out there.
And you're also hearing the reports that the Cavs are talking about trading him. So, hey, there's that.
Right. So meanwhile, you got a guy like Josh Hart who had an abdominal strain, grabbing what did he grab? Where the hell is the? Am I blind right now? Oh, I see where I'm looking at the wrong thing. I was about to say, like, I know that's not the case. Josh Hart, 8 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds on an abdominal strain. And for
If
those
you've
of you
ever
who may
had
not know,
a bad ab, doing
Bro.
this, doing that is hell.
I would suggest if y'all want to know what an ab strain is, if you're not as active and you don't go to the gym like that, go to the gym today, work out your abs. Go search Ab Ripper X on YouTube. Do the P90X ab exercise. It's 20-25 minutes. You probably should do it anyway if they don't plug me. I've done the program before and it definitely worked for me. It's a great exercise, but any ab exercise, do 20 minutes of abs. If you don't do abs, do 20 minutes of abs today and hit me up tomorrow. Hit me up tomorrow. When your abs, I'm talking about your abs lock, you realize how much your core and your midsection affect the whole rest of your body the minute you have some type of soreness in your abs. I'm talking about breathing, laughing, moving. I think thinking too. I swear it's thinking too. Like, I wouldn't be able to talk as freely as I am right now if my abs were sore. And Josh Hart went out there in a high-level professional basketball game and grabbed 8 rebounds and made sure he was on the floor in Game 7. And wasn't Josh Hart effective, but was effective enough that if OG was healthy, maybe that does bring them over the top. Or if anybody else was healthy, maybe it brings them over the top. This is the type of culture and players that they have. But you go back. I was listening to some commentary, and I heard somebody make a mention about, well, Alec Burks has been going off the last few games. Why hasn't Thibs used him? Maybe if he would have used Alec Burks more, they're not in this injury predicament. And that's how I know you don't watch ball and you don't watch the Knicks, right? I don't even say, maybe you watch ball, you don't watch the Knicks. Because there was legit talk towards the end of the regular season as to whether or not the Bojan and Burks trade was a bust. Because they weren't producing. And this is Alec Burks, somebody who has stake and skin in the game from a previous stint here. Somebody who has the clout to be able to come in here and get minutes and couldn't even get minutes for a coach who loves him.
And
because the coach had to keep it real with himself.
And also, this is a basketball player who is a free agent. He had every reason to come out there and play well. But just like Jay-Z said on Show Me What You Got, everybody, you got 2 months to get your shit together. Good luck. He had 2 months to get it together, and he did it. So that's why he became the 11th man when he was more supposed to be that 7th or 8th man. So, yeah, just throwing that in there for you.
At the start of the regular season, from the start of the regular season to now, the Knicks had 1 starter, due to trades and injuries, the Knicks ended up with one starter. Deuce McBride was not in the rotation at the beginning of the season. Dante DiVincenzo wasn't starting. He earned that starter job, but he wasn't starting. He was the bench. When people talk about depth, you want to know how I'll tell you the Knicks have one of the best depth in the league, has some of the best depth in the league? It's because their depth is starting now.
There you go.
Their depth is starting. And now we're down to 9, 10, 11, 12. I was having a conversation. I was texting with one of my good friends, my guy Mo, and he was like, yo, y'all did well. Y'all did well. He's a lapsed Knicks fan, but he's a lapsed Knicks fan from the 90s. When they didn't draft Ron Artest, that was his final straw, right? So he's been going for a while, but, one toe in, we leave the back door open just in case you want to come through and get something out the fridge, right? He said, yo, they're doing well. They're gonna do well next season, but I don't know about Thibs running players in the ground. And I said, oh, no, not you. I can't believe you're going with this narrative. And I sent him some stuff, and he's like, yo, man, Josh Hart averaging 48 minutes. He said, Josh Hart averaging 50 minutes and there's only 48 minutes in the game. I said, okay, yo, you got that. We all agree in the league. We all agree Josh Hart is a sicko because Thibs did ask him multiple times, do you want to come out? Do you want to come out? Do you want to come out? And he said, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. So Thibs goes on what his players say. Now, if you want to have the conversation about saving players from himself, look at OG Anunoby, like what you mentioned earlier, right? He does save players from himself, but if you see the way Josh Hart plays, and also, hey, you don't play these guys, you're not going to win. So then it's a criticism of why are you using these players. I straight told him when he was talking about the minutes, I was like, my brother, do you have a few minutes to talk about Daquan Jeffries? And he busted out laughing. Do you have a few minutes to talk about Daquan Jeffries? And it's no slight against him, but even them players know if we're out here and we have to be ready for minutes, something terribly went wrong. Yeah. Something terribly went wrong. And we got to the extinction level event of the NBA playoffs to where we might have needed a Daquan Jeffries game if OG didn't play and if Josh Hart didn't play. Because there literally was no one left. No one left. And to attribute all those freak injuries just to minutes, it's just a reductive narrative that needs to go away, man. Like, if we're going to talk ball, that's why I say talk ball or don't talk at all, man. Like, watch the games. We can have a nuanced conversation. A couple of them injuries, it could be from overuse. But why were they overused?
There you go.
They've been depleted for the whole season. They had to work and scratch and claw to get that 2 seed. And during the regular season, you give these other players minutes. Yes, if you discover a diamond in the rough, if Daquan Jeffries emerges like, what's the brother from Memphis, Gigi or
Gigi Jackson, I think.
Yeah.
It's another one, though. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, and shout out to Knicks Fan TV because it felt like I always was awed when they played the Grizzlies. So I was able to watch this guy play like closely, and I was rooting for him because he was playing. They're all playing for deals at this point. This was like the hip hop cipher of NBA hoop. Like, you rapping, your ribs are touching. Yo, the rent is due. You hooping like the rent is due. So if he finds a player like a Gigi Jackson that steps up, he looks like a genius. More often than not, they were gonna clown him. Why are you playing these? You usually play all your players. Why are you not playing them now? And then finally, minutes. I want to know what you think about this, Mensa. I want you to know what you think about everything, but there's basically this. Mike Malone, in his press conference yesterday after the Nuggets got eliminated, he said, I'll admit, I think our players were gassed. They went all the way in June. They had to come back. And I had to play my guys a lot of minutes to get to the 2 seed. I think they were the 2 seed, right? They had to play my guys a lot of minutes to get to the 2 seed, and I think they were gassed, and they gave me all they got. So Mike Malone, in a presser, admitted that he ran his players into the ground. Well, you want to that's what y'all say for Thibs. He admitted that he played his players extra minutes because the personnel, they didn't have the same depth. No Bruce Brown, no Uncle Jeff Green, right? They didn't have the same amount of depth. So they had to overtax their players to get to a certain position to give them an opportunity to defend their title with as much home court advantage as possible. And what are people saying? I get it, man. I get it. That's what happens. The game is the game. Unless the game is being played by Thibs. then it's the game is you manipulating the game and overtaxing the players. It just gets comical at this point. And one way that I know that this team has overcome a lot is now they've been able to crush a lot of those narratives, and now all it is narratives that no longer hold weight because the product on the court is so excellent.
Yeah. How many casuals would trade Tom Thibodeau for Mike Malone after Mike Malone did the exact same thing that Tom Thibodeau did? Except, and another thing you were saying about getting a GG Jackson and those kind of players, which would be great. But when you look at the Knicks season, you had 11th and 12th man Deuce McBride come off the bench, drafted, was not in the rotation at all. But because the Knicks have a development system in place where you could put a player like Deuce McBride through the G League and bring him up, and he's hitting big shots in the playoffs, they did that. They went to that already. You had Jericho Sims minutes. Jericho Sims, 57th pick in the draft, right? Third string center. He got minutes. So the Knicks did go deep into their bench. You're talking about 11th and 12th men playing. The Knicks played 11th and 12th men. Precious Achiuwa, 11th man, right? All of these are guys who are coming in who weren't supposed to be in the rotation and giving you valuable minutes. So to say that the Knicks weren't doing that, you just weren't paying attention. When you have 4 of your top 8 guys out, then you're going to end up playing guys deep into your bench, what the Knicks did. And that is why I'm so proud of this team. And that's why I'm so proud of the effort they put in, because we saw everything that we needed to see. I'm sorry we didn't get to 13 and 14. I'm so sorry that couldn't happen. But the Knicks did do that because you saw it. We traded Emmanuel quickly. Deuce, we need you to step up. What did Deuce do? He just shot 40% from 3 for the rest of the season. You know, like we got it. We saw everything that you needed to see. You wanted player development, you saw it this year. You wanted responsible rotations, 2 players out of the top 50 in minutes per game. Only 2, right? You saw it. You saw it every single step of the way with this New York Knicks team. And then you're seeing guys like Luka Doncic. If you look just for the month of May, right? I think the least amount of minutes he's played is 39. Everything other than that, 40 and up, right? And this is a Luka Doncic who's saying everything hurts. That's playoff basketball. In the playoffs, you want to have the best advantage, which is the best players in the world on the court as much as possible, right? So you see a guy like Giannis going 48 minutes when he's healthy. That's just what happens in the playoffs. We cannot sit here and pretend today that because the Indiana Pacers beat us in 7 games, while 4 of our 8 best players were out, that Tom Thibodeau was at fault. We got injured. And one of the things you were talking about earlier with like NBA and like anime arcs, right? The Knicks right now, I feel like is like One Piece in the Summit War arc, right? Mm-hmm. Where we saw Luffy and everything get hurt, and then he came back with the hockey, right? The Knicks are gonna come back with that hockey, and it's gonna be real slow for a lot of teams. So, I mean, I'm just proud of what these guys did, and I don't think that there's any rational defense. I don't think there's any rational criticism for Tom Thibodeau because, again, he played guys up into with 11th and 12th man. He got guys ready. Alec Burks, who was not ready, came back and was ready. Like the team, it spoke to the preparation that makes Tom Thibodeau a special coach. No other team in the NBA will ever be more prepared than a Tom Thibodeau team, and we saw that this season.